Hello everyone, welcome back. Keyur here, and in this video we will talk about something called as getter and setter methods. So before moving or jumping onto that, what are getter and setters? First, let's have an experiment again. So what we will do is we will use the same code that we have been using in the last two videos. Okay, so now we have our code that we had in the last two videos. So what we will do is using one object. What we will do is let's just access the user. Okay, and we know that this will if we write this inside the print, so this will throw us the name of the user. So let us write it into the print, and for now let's just comment this print. So thus if we comment this, so it won't work and it won't print much things onto our console. So for now we have our object2, and using that object2 we are printing the username. So let's run it, and we understand that using the object2 we are printing the username. Thus we have got here Mike. Now let's do one more experiment here. Can I change this username, since user is just a variable, right? So let's see that how it can be done. So here we have user, and what I will be doing here is let's say make it John. And now what I will do is, okay, so what I will have to do here is obj2.user is equals to John, and now let me print it. So here I will do is obj2.user, and if I run this, let's see what we are getting, and we are getting here John, right? So what I was able to do is obj2 contains Mike, right? But what as a user I did is I modified the value from Mike to John. And certainly we don't want our users to manipulate the values of such let's say we don't want our users to manipulate our values of our application, right? Let's say here the user was able to change the username, that is from Mike I did it John. So right now surely it won't make much problem because it's just a name, right? But what if the user changes this balance, or if this account number? So this might create some problems, right? So we don't want our user to access the private data of a class. So how can we make some data or some variables private in Python so that the user cannot manipulate it? We saw that right now we manipulated it and it worked, and that should not work, right? So how can we stop that? So in other programming languages, if you are familiar with other object-oriented programming languages like C#, C++, or Java, in that we have something called as access method called as private. So using that private we can make a particular field private, but we have nothing like that in Python. So for that we will use the concept of getter and setter methods. So let's dive deep into that. So first let's create a new file for that. So new Python file, and let's name it setget. Okay, so we have a file called as setget.py. So in this file, now first before we discuss much, let's just create a simple class. Let's say name it as class person, and in this class let us define just one variable, that is age. So I will have my constructor here, so underscore init. Okay, so we have init, and in this what I will do is self.age is equals to age, and I need to define, okay, what is happening, yeah, and I need to put age here as well. So we have a constructor and we have a age. So our class is ready with a constructor. Now what we need to do is, when we want to make sure some variable private, we need to use getter and setter methods, right? So for getter and setter we have two methods. We have a get method that will work as in getter, and we have a set method that will work as in setter. So setter method will set the value and getter method will fetch us the value. So for each field, this is important, hear it properly. For each field or for each variable we need to define a getter and setter method when we use this concept. So here we have only one field, age, right? So for that age we will be need to define both the methods, that is the getter method and the setter method. So let's see how it can be done. So let me write here, this is the getter method. Okay, so here how we will define a getter method is, you will use this syntax, that is first we will have def, then we will have get, and then we will have underscore age. And what is this def underscore age? Get underscore age, get suggest us that it is a getter method, okay, and then underscore age. So after underscore we have to give the name of the variable for which we are defining the getter and the setter method. So let's say the name of the variable is name, so we will have get underscore name. So similarly we have here get underscore age. And now how we will do that, the get function generally it will fetch us the value. So what we will do is we will return and here we have to do a slight change. That is what we used to do is self.age in the general cases, but when we use the getter method, what we have to do is when you hit enter after that, so it will become underscore age. So this is the syntax when you work with the getter and the setter methods. Okay, so this is how it is done. And for that, again, what we will do is we will create another variable. So the another variable will be def set. Okay, and what we have to do here is set underscore age, and here again we have this. And in the set underscore age, let's say if we are setting a value, so we will accept a value. And in this here, what we will do is self dot age and equals to value. And again, when we when we have a getter method, first let me comment here that this is the setter method. So when we work with this, we will need one getter method, one setter method. With that, we have one more, that is the delete method. So first let's create that as well. So we have del underscore age, and this what we will do is we will simply just delete that variable or the value of that variable. So right now we are just deleting that variable. Okay, so age. So this is how it is done. So now we are ready with our getter method, setter method, and delete method. Now what we want to do is we want to assign these properties to that our variable age. So how can we assign to that properties to our variable age? So how it is done? It is done using a method called as property. We have a method called as property, and this takes 3 parameters, the names of all the methods, just the names of the methods. Now we don't pass the parenthesis, so we have get underscore age, and we don't pass the parameter parenthesis, right? So this property methods takes the 3 parameters, the getter method, the setter method, and the delete method, and the name of this method just. So we have set age, and we will remove this. Okay, and we have last one is the delete age, and we don't need the parenthesis. So now we have set the property to our age method variable. That age variable has these 3 following properties that we have passed, and now we are done with almost our whole code. Now what we need to do is just first let's create some class or create an object. So we have here obj1 is equals to person. Okay, and now what we will do is here let's now pass the age as 15. So we have already created the object. Okay, so now what we need to do is let's just print the age. So let's have the print method. Inside it we have obj1.age, and let's run it, and we know until now that it is going to work absolutely fine, and it is returning us 15, and that is what we were expecting. So now let's modify the value. So we have obj1 dot obj1 dot age is equals to 20, and let's print it again. So let me reuse this code just by copy and pasting. So okay, so now let's run this again, and this time we will get 20. So we were able to modify the value of 20. Now you might say that we are able to modify the value of 20, then what is the use of writing so much of code for just one variable? So now the thing to notice here is that we were able to modify the value of 20 because we have specified that it can take some value, and that value will be replaced by the actual value of the age. So we have written this code, that's why we are able to modify. So if you don't want your user to change the value, so what you can do is from here you can just directly make it 0, so it will be 0. Otherwise you can directly make it as self.age, that is self.age. So self.age is equals to self.age. So or you can write any piece of code that you want, that how it should work when the user want to modify some value. So now the control is totally in your hand. So this is about the getter and setter methods in object oriented programming in Python. So that's pretty much it for this one, and see you guys in the next one.